Battle through the heavens, grand world. Chapter 176 The Wilderness War. When he saw Xiao Yan rushing towards him without knowing the immensity of heaven and earth, the old man merely gave him a glance before letting out a light snort. A man behind him seemed to have received an order. With a tiger roar, he gripped the machete in his hand tightly and rushed towards Xiao Yan. I never thought that there would be someone in this place. However, it was just a puny monarch spirit who came here. You're courting death. After muttering to himself, the old man turned his eyes to the Xiao that was roaring in a low voice in the distance. Greed flashed across his eyes as he said, "Take this beast spirit core, as well as the one I've obtained in the past few days. With the money we sell, we should be able to buy a heavenly beast's heavenly core." The distance of 100 meters disappeared in the blink of an eye. Looking at the middle-aged man who was rushing over, the corners of his mouth was filled with a disdainful smile. The broad saber in his hand was raised high into the air. The sharp origin monarch key on the blade kept rolling and rolling. A bloody smell that had accumulated over the years rushed towards him. Xiao Yan wasn't a young kid that had just come out of a thatched hut. This bit of bloody aura didn't have any effect on him at all. The moment the middle-aged man's machete came chopping down, Xiao Yan's wrist suddenly turned. The blue flame ruler had already whizzed up. The middle-aged man only felt a blur in front of his eyes. A crisp sound rang out and the machete was broken into two. In the next moment, the surface of a crimson-golden ruler instantly enlarged in his pupils. The middle-aged man's body paused for a moment, and then he spat out a mouthful of blood as he flew backwards. After dealing with the middle-aged man in one go, Xiao Yan did not hesitate at all. He charged forward once again and rushed towards the middle-aged man who held the hard bow in his hand. When they saw the middle-aged man being killed by Xiao Yan in an instant, all of them were startled. The old man frowned, and looked at the blue flame ruler in Xiao Yan's hand. A bright light flashed in his eyes, and he immediately grabbed the hard bow of the middle-aged man behind him. With a flip of his withered palm, a black iron arrow that was wrapped in fluorescent light appeared in his hand. The old man instantly drew the bow. The origin monarch key on the hard bow surged wildly. Just as Xiao Yan was about to charge over, the old man had already pulled the hard bow. The bow was like a full moon as the metal arrow shot out explosively like a shooting star that pierced through the sky. The might that it carried caused the air to intensely buzz. After this arrow was shot, the hard bow in the old man's hand suddenly broke. Swoosh! It was like a meteor streaking across the sky. At such a close distance, the might that the iron arrow carried was enough to shatter a mountain rock. Moreover, it was shot out with the full strength of an expert who was far stronger than an emperor. Sensing the immense power of the iron arrow, Xiao Yan's expression also changed. He did not dare to meet it head-on. His charging figure instantly stopped. At the same time, the blue flame ruler was already in front of him, blocking the incoming iron arrow. Buzz! The iron arrow hit the blue flame ruler violently. The powerful impact caused Xiao Yan, who was holding the blue flame ruler tightly, to involuntarily step back. His feet left two deep marks on the ground. Oh! The hand that was holding the blue flame ruler was also trembling. The area between his thumb and index finger was ruptured. Xiao Yan's face was gloomy as he gritted his teeth. He gathered all the strength in his body to offset the huge impact of the iron arrow. After retreating about 10 meters, Xiao Yan roared angrily, and the blue flame ruler suddenly shook. The force contained within the blue flame ruler violently collided with the force of the iron arrow, and the iron arrow finally lost its momentum. With a soft buzzing sound, the glow of the arrowhead had already dissipated. It fell to the ground like an ordinary piece of iron. How is this possible? That kid is actually fine. When the two middle-aged men behind the old man saw Xiao Yan blocking the arrow from the old man at such a close distance, their faces were filled with shock. Both of them knew the old man's strength very well. Even if they were in a hurry just now, the power of the arrow wasn't the greatest, but how could a puny monarch spirit block it? Unlike the two middle-aged men, the old man looked at Xiao Yan with a serious expression. He knew how much strength Xiao Yan had used just now, but this young man was actually able to block it. Besides the fact that his own strength might be stronger than an ordinary monarch spirit's, the huge ruler weapon didn't seem to be something that could be ignored. Taking a deep breath, Xiao Yan once again held the blue flame ruler in his hand. He couldn't help but feel slightly delighted in his heart. How powerful was that arrow just now? He could vaguely sense that even if an ordinary emperor were to be hit by it. As for himself, he could only rely on the blue flame ruler that he had obtained after becoming a heavenly weapon. If he used his full strength to block this attack, he would probably be able to fight against the top experts of the Emperor realm. The old man threw away the hard bow in his hand and picked up the snake-headed crutch once again. He narrowed his eyes and looked at Xiao Yan. His attention was focused on the blue flame ruler in the latter's hand. A bright light flickered in his eyes. He had blocked the attack from earlier. There was actually no damage on the ruler's surface. Could it be a high-tier spirit weapon? The old man's heart immediately became excited when he thought of this. In this region, a good high-tier spirit weapon had already been stir-fried to over 3 million monarch crystals. If one were to snatch it and sell it, although it was a relatively unpopular weapon, it could be sold for at least 2 million monarch crystals. With this large sum of money, the group would be able to buy a heavenly core with some extra money. "Little guy, who are you?" the old man said in a deep voice. The Black Sand Castle wasn't the only place in this region. If this young man was one of the young masters of the other castles, he would have to think of a good solution. Of course, if he was just an outsider. Even if his father was an emperor cultivation warrior, he would still kill him on the spot. I should be the one asking this question. Xiao Yan coldly looked at the three old men. A cold smile emerged on his face. Without waiting for him to speak, he continued. But, you don't have to say it now. I will come out of your mouth later. After saying that, Xiao Yan moved and charged towards the three of them once again. On the surface of the blue flame ruler, there were already wisps of flames that were invisible to the naked eye that were quietly surging. What an arrogant kid. In this place, even an emperor cultivation warrior would have to act like a human with his tail between his legs. You, a monarch spirit warrior, actually dare to speak such arrogant words. The old man was infuriated when he heard this. His snake-headed walking stick violently knocked on the ground. In an instant, the shattered rocks flew towards Xiao Yan as if they had eyes. Dozens of sharp gravel shot towards Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan snorted softly and did not dodge. He extended his empty hand. His palm was suddenly covered with crimson gold flame. After that, his palm suddenly moved. Under the fluttering flames, all the rocks were blocked by his palm. After that, they turned into powder under the might of the monarch flame. All of you step back. After instructing the two of them, the old man's expression gradually turned serious. This kid was really strange. First, he had a weapon that was suspected to be a high-tier spirit weapon, and now, he had displayed a strange flame. No matter what, your strength is still too weak. With a sneer, he threw all his worries to the back of his mind. The old man's body moved and he rushed over like a poisonous snake. At the same time, a dark green light flashed on the snake-headed walking stick in his hand. The black snake that was wrapped around the walking stick seemed to have gained life as it slowly wiggled. The two middle-aged men behind the old man naturally shifted their gazes to the Xiaoao a short distance away when the old man rushed towards Xiao Yan. The two of them looked at each other and smiled. After which, they grinned hideously and charged towards the Xiaoao. The large machete in their hands flashed with a cold glint under the sunlight. The depressed Xiaoao saw the two of them rushing towards him. With an excited roar, his forehooves stomped on the ground. It turned into a flame and rushed towards the two of them. Chapter end. Hi guys, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.